Hey, it's Victoria, and you are now listening to the Pass Rush Podcast with your host, DJ Clennon.
Welcome to the Pass Rush Podcast. I'm your host, DJ Clennon, as you already know. But it feels like it's been a long time since we did this whole face-to-face thing again. But it really hasn't, but that's just how it feels. But there's no Colorado video yet. I'm just waiting until after they play UCLA. Love following this story for Colorado right now. I'm just really enjoying that. So I just wanted to do something fun and different. So my top 10 high school football players I ever had a chance to play with or against, just share the field with. I played against over 50 Division I football players. Not even all of them makes this list, of course, obviously, but like not every player on this list went on to Division I because they're just really talented, and sometimes things just happen, the way that they do. Some players have late growth spurts where even though they went D1, they became really good later and just stuff like that. But just go ahead and get started on this list. But before we do that, go ahead and sack the like button, sack the subscribe button, sack everything. Here, we sack everything. This is the Pass Rush Podcast. We sack everything. So number 10 on the list is Keysnay Thomas. I had a chance to interview Keysnay Thomas before. And Keysnay is one of those guys where he's just really, really, really versatile, right? So like you can play him at safety, linebacker, off the edge on blitzes. You can put him at running back. You can do all those things. Now, his best position to me is when he found himself as a strong safety. I feel like Keysnay is an in-the-box safety, but he's somebody that you can use in other ways if you want to, but he's an in-the-box safety, in my opinion. I think he knows that. I know that. That's where he's at his best. Now, it took a long time for coaches to put him there. I don't know why, but Keysnay didn't really start playing safety, really, I don't think, until our senior year, but that's what he is to me. And I feel like if he would have played there the entire time, the chances of him going Division I would have been higher. He should have already went Division I, but he ended up going to Delta State and then Fort Valley. But it's just things that happened in his career that led to that path. But Keysnay was just so good, like good at everything, naturally good at everything. He never hid the confidence. I feel like that confidence is really what led to that being the case, because he's always been so confident. Number 8 on the list is Duke Shelley. Duke Shelley is one of those people where I should have ended up at Kansas State with him anyway, but Duke Shelley is just locked down at corner. He's so deceptively fast. Like, Duke Shelley's one of those guys where you saw him in high school. Of course, you're seeing now he's not like the biggest or like the fastest and the strongest or any of those things, but he was just really, really good at everything that he did. And I feel like in our senior year, when I seen him play, you just seen that developing then. And you see it now in the NFL. He's still having his chances in the NFL. And that's because everybody knows that the chances of you having a really good football player is high when you bring Duke Shelley onto your team. So shout out to you, man. Continue your career. You was actually what somebody that I know would take down when he was in Minnesota, but I believe you're with the Raiders now. So shout out to Duke Shelley. The next person on the list is actually a teammate of his, which is Jonathan Ledbetter, another guy that Georgia turned into a monster. Now, when he was at Tucker High School, he actually sent Keysnay to the hospital. So, I mean, he's been really good. Most of his film is at tight end, but I don't know if he thought he was going to play tight end in like the higher, levels of like college and NFL, but his time in high school, he was a defensive tackle, and that's what he is now, a defensive tackle, a defensive end, and he's doing really well with the Cardinals now. Like, he had his chances with the Dolphins, it didn't work out there. Went on to the Cardinals, and he's doing his thing now. And Jonathan Ledbetter has just been he was a force on defense, like literally a force. He was almost unmovable. You had to like double and triple team him multiple times. So shouts out to Ledbetter, really good player. Number 7 on this list is actually a duo. These guys, Trey and Devin, are like Spuros and LaDainian Tomlinson to me. Like, Trey would be LaDainian Tomlinson. He's a complete back. He's a back that's not bruising, but he will do that on occasion. But he was just fast, quick, hit him with screen, get him out of space. He's going to do his thing. Devin, shorter. That's the only thing that ever prevented him from going to a big school. Shorter, super talented, Could do anything you want him to do as a running back, and he just gets behind your offensive line so smooth, so quick. Just, I loved watching them run the football. And Devin, I feel like only reason why he didn't go D1 is because he's like 5'4", but he was top 5 in the entire state of Georgia in rushing. Multiple teams had him as number 1 on their board, and just things just out of our control happen. I have Devin on here one day to share his story. I'm sure he has a lot of things that I don't know that even happened in his career. But Devin, I feel like you're such a talented player. You and Trey, I feel like y'all should have played y'all entire career together. I feel like because they were actually really good friends too, that they just complemented each other so well. And there was never any biasness about who had the ball, who was doing their thing. They was encouraging each other to do their thing. They celebrated together. It was just fun to watch, like Sproles and LaDainian. Then you move on to number 6. Number 6 is Terez Hall. So Terez is a guy that, man, when I met him, he was just like a country guy coming from Savannah playing basketball. And he was making his way onto the football field. Something he had done earlier on in his career, but he was making his way onto the football field after years and years and years. It was really like the first time all over again. I mean, it was me, him, and another guy who was on this list farther down that just was all doing our thing at that time. And man, what Terez went on to become and go on to Missouri, it was not a surprise that he got offers to go play at the SEC. The only issue I have is that I feel like teams didn't use him to the ability I feel like he could have been used as far as like development. Terez is like Isaiah Simmons to me. He's not just a pass dropping linebacker. I've never even seen him as that in any time that we played, or I seen him play in his senior year. No. Missouri used him that way, and it's probably because it worked for the team. But like in the NFL, I feel like he's like Isaiah Simmons. You could use him anywhere, and people just have to have enough confidence to bring him in. Now, I feel like that's why New England brought him in, because they like players like that where they can do multiple things with them, and that's Terez. Terez has been with New England for a while now, I think, just on and off the practice squad with them, and not a surprise. Now, another player to make this list, number 5 here, is Mike Horton. Mike Horton is the only offensive lineman to make this list. Now, mind you, I played with Dallas Warmack, played against Dallas Warmack, who didn't go to Alabama like his brother. He went to Oregon. But Mike was committed to Florida at the time when I played against them. It was our senior night, so I made sure I avoided him, put the other end on him, and I would have the lesser tackle. And I went on to have 2.5 sacks in that game. But Mike went on to not go to Florida. He went to Auburn, did his thing at Auburn, had his chance in the NFL, ended up in the XFL, won a championship with PJ Walker and them, and then now he's back in the NFL with the Panthers now. And Mike's just really smooth. Like, we watched him play basketball too. Like, when he came and played us in basketball, he was so smooth. Like, he's one of those offensive linemen that's just like deceptively agile, and that's what made him so good, and that's why he's doing this thing now. So shout out to Mikey. Now, number 4 on this list is Preston Williams. Preston Williams is, you're gonna make a wide receiver, you make Preston. I mean, just simple as that. He's unique in everything that he did. That's why, like, he called himself a unicorn at the time. Like, he's just super unique, and the man is just gifted when it comes to catching the football. I saw him moss 3 Division I football players at once. He was on covers of magazines and number 1 wide receiver for a reason. He's one of those guys that like really lived up to that number 1 hype. I keep up with like star ratings and stuff now, and stars don't necessarily mean anything, but like Preston lived up to his. A lot of people don't, just to be honest. A lot of people don't live up to their stars, but Preston, he did. He did in high school. And not really sure what's going on with his NFL career now. I know injuries get in the way a lot of the time. When you get injured a lot, it kind of messes with your confidence. But if he can get that back to be the Preston that he knows he can be when he was 17, 18, 19 years old, the Preston that was at Tennessee, the one that was at Colorado State, all those things again, I think he'll be fine. Super gifted, just footwork, just gifted. But anyway, moving on to number 3. Another gifted player, somebody that Preston got the best of sometimes here. Shout out to you, TJ. Is TJ Warren. TJ Warren, I don't consider him at his best position being on defense because I know he's an offensive player. I said that to him, of course. If you've seen the interview, TJ is an offensive player. I've been playing with TJ his entire life, dang near. So, TJ with the ball in his hand is explosive. He's like Travis Hunter. He's one of those guys who could have played both sides of the ball. He did play both sides of the ball multiple times, but at quarterback was where he was at his best. And for some reason, sometimes we get in our own way and we don't play the position we know we're supposed to play. I did that to myself too. Being a pass rusher, even though I was really good at pass rushing, it wasn't what some people would say is my best position. Some people would say it is. It just really all depends. But with TJ, that's him. Like, quarterback was his best position in my eyes, but to others, it might have been wide receiver. Where you see his film, it might have been corner or safety. Just depends on what you see when you see him. And I know he could have been in the NFL as a quarterback to this day. I see him like Tyrod Taylor. Now, Tyrod Taylor in college is exactly what TJ was in high school. That's TJ. Now, number 2, we move on to number 2. If you're going to build a football player, you're going to build Arden Key. And I say you're going to build Arden because, like, Arden's 6'5", slender build, just everything you want. And, like in the games, they give like badges and abilities and stuff to people. Arden has that defensive anchor ability, or like I know it's in like 2K, like if they get a block, the whole team gets on fire. That's Arden. Like, he does a play, he does something well, get a sack, tackle for loss, something of that nature, big hit. The entire team feels it. Everybody energizes from it, and that's Arden. And it's been him his entire time of me ever knowing him, and I've known him since middle school. He was 6'2" in middle school, playing middle linebacker actually, and I was like the edge then, and I'm just like, man, this man is just. I always been jealous of the height, because like the doctors told me when I was younger I was gonna be 6'5", and I only ended up being 6 foot. But he was actually grew up to 6'5". But Arden is just, man, he was so. And then the thing is that he was so smooth with everything that he did, right? So Arden can hit a spin move, and because he has long arms and he's just lengthy, he could grab the quarterback. He could do a swim move, bam, bam, grab the quarterback. Like, he could do anything and be right back there. And it made me have to work harder because I had to see him do stuff like that as we were teammates a couple times. And I used to be like, okay, I got to take that extra step to get back there, but I can still do, what I'm saying? I'm finding my way, right? Arden, gifted. And he's always been a Titan. Like, that's what he started as with Eastern Metro Titans, and now he's with the Titans. It's just full circle for him. He's in his element up there in Tennessee. He's found all the confidence that he needed. I feel like it's safe to say at the beginning of his NFL career, his confidence was wavering. For whatever reason, it was wavering at that time, but now he's comfortable. He knows what his role can be. He knows what he can do, and he's not in a organization that's changing a lot like he was with the Raiders. But I mean, he had a chance to be with Bruce Irvin. I was so happy about that because I watched Bruce Irvin highlights all the time growing up. But Arden, amazing. And he's been around so much talent. I just can't say enough about like his play. He's never been the fastest, the strongest, the quickest, none of that, but he's been a football player. He'll do whatever you ask him to do. I seen him line up at fullback like the fridge to do blocks. Like, Arden just loves contact. He just loves being on the field, and football is something that I feel like he was just born to do. But number 1 on this list, to sum this all up here, is the best pass rusher I ever seen, DeAndre Walker. DeAndre Walker was so gifted, right? I watched him his entire career dominate and I only played him like twice, I think. So in 10th grade, we get to the playoffs, and I'm hurt now at that point in time. Had a stress fracture in my calf that took me out the last few games of the season. And it was just because me and somebody got back there to hit a sack together, and he fell. His helmet hit me dead on the calf and cracked it. So I had a stress fracture there, had to chill out. Took me like a year to run again and stuff like that. So at that time, I'm just going to the games, supporting the team and stuff. And DeAndre Walker, man, I saw him get like 6-7 sacks in 10th grade to win that game by himself. He beat us literally by himself. Offense didn't have to do anything. 25-degree night in November, he kills it by himself. And at that point, I'm immediately just like, bro, what am I doing? Like, this guy's doing this. And I found out we're the same age and stuff, and I'm like, what am I doing? 11th grade, I don't see him because I go to MLK, a different high school. Play with Arden and them for a while. Then I come back to my original high school, and I'm thinking we're going to play each other, but then they switch up the divisions. So I don't end up playing him this time around, and I just watch our stats our senior year, because we went to a camp before the senior year started, which was an Under Armour camp in Atlanta, and he is rated the best defensive lineman at the camp. I get rated the best linebacker at the camp. So I'm just like, okay, let's do it. We get to our senior year. I actually was playing running back at first. We didn't have a pass rusher. I told the defensive line coach, I can do that for you. I go do my thing, and I become a permanent pass rusher instead of playing running back. And the entire time of our senior year, we're neck and neck most of the time. And then our stats start getting messed up on our side, and I start dropping. I dropped down to number 6, as you're seeing now. DeAndre Walker finished the regular season with 23.5 sacks and went on to, I believe, 28.5 because of the playoffs. And because of our playoffs, I ended up with, really I had 16, but they registered me with 13.5, so I moved all the way down to like 10 in the state. But I was right there with them the entire time, and I was just always trying to get sacks because of DeAndre Walker. And nobody ever pushed me without even being around as a football player as much as DeAndre Walker did, just because of what I seen him do. And we're similar size, similar build. Just a little bit taller than me. I think he was like 2 inches taller than me, but like everything was like right there, and I'm just like, ugh. So when he went to Georgia, it wasn't a surprise. Wasn't surprised at all. Gifted, and I feel like he should still be in the NFL today. Not really sure what's going on with that, but I know he coaches now for Georgia. Would love to talk to him, get his story on what happened at Tennessee. I feel like if we paired him and Arden together, it'd be amazing. But he's the number one football player I ever seen in high school. 28.5 sacks, 20 plus sacks multiple times. I believe he has Langston Hughes' high school sack record now as well, and it's just it's so deserved. So that's my list. So you let me know down in the comments below, who is your top player that you ever played against in high school? What state you in, what state they was in, all that good jazz. Sack the like button on your way out. Sack the subscribe button. Sack everything. You like videos like this? Sack everything. And I'm out of here. See ya.
Wait, but I shake the room.